what's up? Red Panda Anthem. Red Panda, what's good? Red Panda Anthem. It's your boy.
All right, let's talk about. I just want to talk about some brief financial planning thing real quick. I got a question the other day, and I figured like people might not know. So, the difference between mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs.
It's a good question.
Yes. So, we talk about ETFs a lot, index funds a lot. We haven't really spoken about mutual funds too much, but I'm just going to explain briefly, then I'll let you guys chime in as well if you want to talk about it. So, a mutual fund is a managed portfolio of a variety of different stocks. So Franklin Diamond Tech Fund, FKDNX is the ticker. So it has a lot of technology stocks in it, like Google, Apple, Amazon. It's like 50% of the portfolio is in tech, but it has other areas as well. So a mutual fund is like usually managed by a company. So like Franklin Templeton for that fund, or Oppenheimer, or Fidelity, like these big institutions, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll have somebody that's actually managing the portfolios, actively managed, so they can move in and out of positions a lot more swiftly. We'll talk about what an index fund or ETF. The knock on mutual funds is that since it is actively managed, there are fees attached to it that the others don't have. So you have like a sales charge. So a sales charge is when you put money in. So depending on how much money you put in, a sales charge could be like up to like 5% up front. So like, let's say you put in, $1,000, 5% automatically off the rip goes to the company before the money starts investing. Then there's what's called 12B1 fees, where it's like an annual fee on an ongoing basis. So that's like the knock for people to say don't invest in mutual funds, is that there's fees attached to it. Yeah. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that, of course, every fund is not equal, right?
And
there's
like
thousands.
The fees range too.
Yeah. So there's thousands of different mutual funds. So some mutual funds, depending on how good the portfolio has done, it actually may make sense. There's also what's called no load funds. It's like Vanguard. They have no load funds where like the sales charge or the load, they don't actually implement that. So it's a lot cheaper. So that's another alternative as well. But the main difference is that somebody's actually actively managing it. Then you have the index fund. So the index fund in episode 44, Wall Street Trapper, it's a legendary episode. Check it out.
Check it out.
And I like his analogy that he gave when he was like, that we talk about the ETFs and the index funds, is the index fund is like buying a whole grocery store. Like you go into Costco's and you just get everything. Give me one of everything, right? And then you just have like a chip, you have a banana, you have a pineapple, just have a little bit, you have everything, right? And so it's like the S&P 500, right? Standard & Poor's 500, where it's not every single stock on the stock market, but it's 500 stocks. And 500 stocks from all different areas, all different sectors. So the theory with the index fund is that it's the safest play because you're not picking one particular stock. You're not picking an industry. You're picking broad range stocks from all different industries. And, as the S&P goes up, that means the stock market usually as a whole goes up, because the S&P 500 is a microcosm of the stock market. As it goes down, then the stock market goes down. So that's why they say, like, people like Warren Buffett, like, just buy index funds, nothing else. Don't ever buy individual.
Two tech, two indexes. Easy.
And then ETF. So an exchange traded fund. So how Ian talks about it, where he talks about the all-star team. Trap made a reference going back to the grocery store of aisle in the grocery store. So like in the grocery store, you have like the Mexican aisle where what's wrong with that?
Is a Mexican aisle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never seen a
certain
Mexican
stores?
aisle? Why'd you say it? Like, yeah, like they have tortilla, they have all Mexican type of food.
And maybe like nationality.
It's like international food.
International, yeah.
No. Like this grocery store right here, they have different, depending on where you live. Obviously, where we live, it's a heavy Mexican population. So they have a Mexican aisle. Yeah. They have an Indian aisle with just Indian food.
Okay.
And spices,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you said it like that was something.
No, because I'm trying to think like, where did I see that? But I'm used to seeing like international foods.
We live in a country that's
I'm not knocking it. No, there's
5% Hispanic.
I'm just saying they'll usually say like international. Keep going.
Don't do that.
Keep going. Like, somebody gonna take me pictures. It's a Mexican aisle. Like, nah, it's all good. Keep going.
Mexican. First of all, shout out to all the Mexicans out there. I love Mexican food. One of my favorite dishes ever.
That's...
So.
What? I'm not saying anything.
So if you have a Mexican aisle, right, then that's a specific aisle just for that type of food, right? Or you have an ice cream aisle, or you have, a dairy aisle, stuff like that. So now with the ETFs, you can get more specific. So it's like you have QQQ, which is a technology ETF, right? Or you have XLY, which is a consumer discretionary ETF, right? Or XLF, which is a financial, which is financial companies. So this allows you to invest. Now, the difference between that and the mutual funds is that they're not actively managed in the same way that the mutual funds are actively managed. So the fees and the cost are lower, but they do have flexibility to make changes over the course of time. It's just not as actively managed as a mutual fund.
Right.
So that's like a 5-minute tutorial on how to invest. That's like all of those are passive ways to invest, where you're not actually investing the money yourself, right? Somebody else is investing it for you, whether it's with the S&P 500, whether it's with the ETFs, whether it's with the mutual funds. This is a way for, especially, people that are not confident picking stocks themselves. And most of the time, most people are familiar with this type of situation through their 401ks. Because if you have a 401k, it's usually being managed by a mutual fund company. Fidelity manages a lot of 401ks. And in that, they'll have like Fidelity large cap, Fidelity small cap, Fidelity international. So you might be familiar with that idea from the 401k, but you can also invest in that passive way of investing, like through brokerage apps, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people gonna ask which ones VOO and VTI are two.
I know he's gonna say those.
Yeah.
Just play it safe, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. The way you just broke it down is perfect. I mean, even with the ETFs, like that asset allocation about being able to manage. And some of the ETFs it might be every 6 months they'll reassess, or it might be every year that they'll reassess. But pay attention to those things, right? Because if the ETF that you're invested in is changing percentages of the company, right? Usually that means a company potentially has an upside that they've seen, right? So like when we started, and NVIDIA inside of SMH wasn't in the top 3. If you look now, it definitely is, right? So you just watch those, right? It's moved up because obviously the growth is split. They see the forward trajectory of the company. So pay attention to those things.
Go ahead, Ian.
And then you're gonna see real shortly, boy, they gonna get moved down. Like if I play, like if we had a team, right? And I had 14 air balls, I'm gonna get put on the bench. Boy, watch how Facebook slide down some of these index funds on the allocation list.
But that's a valuable lesson too. And so like when the S&P like drops 2%, right? And in the same day, Facebook drops 26%. This is when we're telling you.
Well, and that's the thing.
Just
even with
be
the,
safe
with the ETFs too. And this is why I don't like investing in individual stocks, because it's issues like
Safety.
Facebook, where it's like, all right, QQQ, Facebook is in QQQ. Facebook is also obviously, a standalone stock. So when Facebook fell 25% in one day, QQQ might have felt like maybe 3%. Like, you know what I mean? So it's buffered because like Facebook, I don't know how, I think it makes up like 8% of the portfolio. So of course, when it skyrockets, you're not going to get that same momentum on the upside. Yeah. But on the downside, it's a more controlled situation, because one company is not going to drag down the whole entire portfolio. Yep. At least if it's a good ETF. So,
and also if you guys invest in the top 5 stocks, please write this down. You'll be safe. Like when you start to go through 15 through 40, you have a little bit more risk. The top 5 are there for a reason. Facebook was not in the top 5.
Yeah, 3.7% inside of QQQ. But that's, safety, right? 26% on a day. That's crazy.
For a product nobody loves. I've never heard anybody in the last 5 years be like, man, I just love being on Facebook. That was under 60.
No. We can't do that. People love Instagram. When Instagram shut down, people start crying. You was there.
Yeah,
people
was crying.
I seen people crying. I seen girls crying. I seen men panicking.
But because their business model is messed up. Now you gotta go.
They don't even got no business. They don't even have a business though. They just own it just cause they addicted to it. The first thing you do, that Charleston White interview on Big Facts is arguably top 5 podcasts ever recorded.
Yeah.
Good interview.
Charleston White, incredible.
It's a great interview.
That's legend.
Yeah,
great.
That's legend.
Shout out to the Big Facts team.
Shout out to Big Facts. Yeah. He said a lot of truth in there. You wake up, the average person is looking at their phone before you say your prayer, before you meditate, to see if your son is okay. The first thing you do is look at Instagram. The first thing.
It's dangerous.
It's the world that we
It's so
live in.
dangerous.
It's very
Yeah.
dangerous.
It's called addiction.
Yeah, that's why I told him, like, if
Yeah.
you call me after 10, good luck on me answering, bro. My phone doesn't stay in my room. I can't.
Yep.
I can't.
Yep.
Not with this guy's hours.
God bless the internet.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Rap Panda, what's
This
good?
that Red Panda Anthem.
It's your boy.